Hey everybody, Kyle here with Spicer Designs.
99, 100.
Oh hey, didn't know you were watching. Welcome back to the channel. Ooh, cramp. Okay, today's video, no bullshit, no fluff, we're just gonna get started. We're gonna be working on my new-ish Kimron mini excavator. This is the XH26D. Right here, it says Kimron. Now yes, this is a Chinese excavator. It's got a Yanmar diesel in it. And if you're interested in this excavator, I've got other videos, and I have a video where I do a complete overview on it. I talk about all the specs. So if this is something that you're interested in, I suggest you go check out that video. I will leave a link for it down in the description. Now today we're not going to be working on the Kimron itself. This could be any excavator, any brand. What we're gonna be working on specifically is the bucket for it. Brand doesn't matter, this could be any bucket. I think you get the point. And what we're gonna be doing to it is we're going to be turning my digging bucket with these cutting teeth right here and these side teeth, I don't know what the hell you call them. We're gonna be turning this into a grading bucket. So it'll actually be able to function as a digging bucket or a grading bucket with one little attachment that we're gonna build today. Now, as some of you may already know, I have a grading bucket. This is a 24-inch bucket. It's got a smooth lip on it. This also has the tilt function, which is why there's two hydraulic lines right here. And I am pretty excited to use this grading bucket with the tilt function. Unfortunately, I don't have the hydraulics set up quite the way I want them, where it's easy to plug that thing in, unplug it, go back and forth between the thumb and the tilt function. So that's why I plan on making basically an accessory for my bucket to turn it into a smooth face for grading. And the reality of it is, these grading buckets, especially the tilt buckets, they are not cheap. Fortunately, with Kimron and all their attachments, they are pretty affordable. That's why I did end up picking up the grading bucket. But for a lot of people, they might just have a digging bucket, but they'd like to also have the option to do some grading with it. So this would be a great video. It's gonna be a pretty easy setup. No more bullshit. Let's get started. Now, do you remember my last laser engraving video where I showed you the new XTool? And I was opening it up and I said, all right, this is nice. I could use this for something in the future. I told you so. Zinger! I thought that's pretty funny. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. All right, so what we're gonna be doing is using our I told you so cardboard, and we're going to mock up this grading attachment for the bucket. This is a technique that's been being used for a very long time. It's not like I just came up with this, but in this situation, it's going to be very useful because we're gonna cut this out of steel on the Langmuir Crossfire Pro CNC plasma table. And I really wanna do this in one shot. So I'm going to pull some measurements, my stick rule, very accurate. And we'll start carving this thing up, see what we come up with. Okay, the whole forming this thing with cardboard, gotta say it's pretty handy. Definitely takes the image in your head and makes it reality before you spend a bunch of time cutting steel, welding, grinding just to find out it ain't gonna work. So anyways. Okay, so of course we have a plate on top. This is gonna be 3/16 plate. On the bottom, I also have another piece of 3/16 plate. I have some more work to do on this back edge right here where it's kind of open. It's actually going to match what I'm doing on top here. And as far as the top goes, the way I'm going to mount this is right in between these two bucket teeth and these two bucket teeth. This right here is 5/8 plate, so plenty strong. I'm gonna through bolt it. Shouldn't have an issue with two nice heavy duty grade 8 bolts. Now this little section right here, you can see that the slope of it kind of matches the slope of the teeth. And the idea of that is for any material that's in the bucket, as I dump it, it will slide over and fall out instead of getting hung up on any of these hard corners. And what I have here is two layers. You can see underneath there's another piece of cardboard. It kind of forms a triangle. The spot right here is where I'm gonna have another hole, and the through bolt's gonna go in, and this hole will allow it to kind of countersink in there, and it'll sandwich tight to the plate on the top and the bottom. And then this upper section, along with it helping divert material, will also help protect the bolt head from any wear, because obviously dirt is abrasive. I know that dirt and gunk is gonna get crammed up in here, but as long as I could dig it out enough to get that bolt out of there, I can hose this thing all out when I'm done with it, and it shouldn't be a big deal. All right, so that is my plan as of now. Might change. Oh yeah. All right, so I think everyone gets the point.
Damn it!
I ruined my template. I gotta start looking down when I walk. Well, my template's f***ed, but I think I could tape it back together. Anyways, you guys get the idea, but unfortunately this little cardboard template isn't going to be 100% accurate, so what I'm gonna do is get that bucket over on the fab table, and I can start taking some solid measurements, inputting that into Fusion 360, the software that I use with the Langmuir Crossfire Pro CNC plasma table. Need to come up with a nickname for that thing. Stay away from that blade. All right, let's hop on Fusion 360 and design this, I don't even know what the hell to call it, honestly. Grading blade attachment for your bucket. I don't know, but let's do it. Okay, this is not going to be a Fusion 360 lesson. This is just gonna show you what I'm building. So the first thing we're gonna do, create a new sketch on the X and Y plane, and we're in action. Now, like I said, the cardboard template gets me pointed in the right direction, but it definitely needs some fine tuning, and I can do that in the software so we can fit this thing up real nice and tight. Why does it seem dim? Something going on here. That's better. All right, it's the next day. I do have to sleep, you know. I finished up the design on the first part of this build last night on Fusion 360. We could check that out right now. Verifying, verifying, verifying. Ah! A little zippy in here. Okay, here is what I've got so far. This is my sketch. It's got all my dimensions and measurements and all that good stuff. This is kind of hard to look at, so let's take a look at the body. Okay, so here is the body. This part right here is the top side of the grading tooth here. You can see these slots right here are breaking points, just so that I can fold them a little bit easier. I don't have a press brake here or a hydraulic brake. I just have my little vice brake, which is good for small stuff. But this will help me put a little bend in it, and then I can weld up that seam. That's just kind of the way I do it for right now. So let's get some 3/16 plate on the Langmuir plasma table, and we'll start cutting this out. Husky adjustable table, check. Laptop, check, check. Stupid little adapter for the MacBook, check. USB, check. My cell phone in case the Keystone girl calls. I miss her. Plasma cutter tower. That's a tight fit right there. Gotta have the stool. Oh, what the hell happened? Nailed it. Right. I'll tell you what, this Langmuir table cuts through this 3/16 plate like nothing. Freaking crisp. All right, let's get these parts on the fab table, and we can start forming them up. All right, I'll give you the basic idea of what I'm doing here. There's my piece. Basically, it's gonna fit in just like this, right around that height right there. And then I've got these break points right here, because I don't have a vice brake again. These two pieces right here are gonna bend down. So once I put a brake right there, this should kind of bend and form the front of the teeth. You get what I'm saying. And then this little side profile here is gonna bend down as well. And I want this to be just a smidge wider than these outside cutting teeth here. So I think we're on the right track. Yeah. All right, I don't think I need to heat this up. I'm just gonna give it a couple of whacks, see what happens. Okay, you can kind of see what's going on there with the angles. A little bit of overhang on the teeth, so the bottom one should meet up nice. And you'll see what I do with that here in a little while. It's gonna be toward the end. All right, let's take a little break, and I want to show you kind of where we're at so you can see kind of what the plan is here. So this piece right here, I just kind of tacked together, and this is what's going to slide over the lip of the bucket, and I'm going to be drilling a hole, and this is where I'll be through bolting it, and then I'm going to have the nut welded to the bottom side, which you'll see here in a bit. And then this piece is going to kind of go something like that. So in this gap, I'll be able to weld all the way across the top side of that, because it's going to be really hard to get the welder in there. I'll be able to get some weld in there. It's just kind of tricky. It's almost like a puzzle on how I want to assemble this thing. And then across here, I'll be able to get a good weld across the face of that. So between that weld, some on the inside, same here. I'll be doing the same thing on the back. That's how I'm planning on mounting this thing. All right, I've got this thing pretty much mocked up. I got it all tacked in place. It's fitting pretty damn good, honestly. It's definitely overbuilt. Way more than I really needed, but whatever. So yeah, it just slides on like so. Okay, so you can kind of see what I was going for right here. The next step is to drill these holes all the way through the bucket. That way I can get a pilot on the backside so I know exactly where to recess that nut to accept the bolt, because I want that to be part of the bracket. I don't want to have a separate nut that's just hanging loose. I got enough nuts hanging loose. I don't need any more. You know what I mean? Another zinger. Time to drill some holes. What I am going to do is take this socket. It fits pretty tight in this hole. I'm going to set it in there, and that way it sits flat and perpendicular, and I can get a really good center mark for my hole. Where is my punch? Oh, I know where you are, you good. Bingo. All right, this is boring. Let's skip to the next part. Yeah, oh yeah. We've got our holes drilled, finally. It actually took a long time. I've got a 1/2-inch bolt going down through our hole. I got a spacer in there because I don't have the right size bolts yet. And then we're gonna tip this thing up on end. All right, now hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I used that 7/8 hole saw, and I cut out that hole. And now we're gonna take these nuts, and I've already ground these down, and they're already ready to go. Okay, new plan. I took a washer, I had to drill it out, and that's gonna be my little filler, and that will keep me from welding this nut to the actual bucket. Okay, I like it. All right, so you see what I've done here? I've got the nut welded on the back side of this plate. I'm gonna cut another little section of plate right here, and that is going to cover that nut so you won't see any of that crap, and I'll have a nice smooth plate coming down here, kind of like there is on the front side. I got the nuts welded on. I did a little bit of a reset here, got the table cleaned up, put some tools away. Sometimes when I get, you know, in a rhythm, it gets a little messy. I will say, after all of the welding and grinding, drilling, I'm a little parched. Now, I haven't done this in a while. I think you know it's coming. Let's get that Keystone girl out here. Yee yee! If you say yee yee, doesn't matter where she's at on the property, she comes a running. Oh my God.
Did I hear yee yee?
You did.
My hearing is good.
Here is a yee yee keychain.
I already have one.
We'll have another. I just wanted a Keystone.
I figured.
Yeah, were you just wearing that around the house or what?
I'm just walking around, taking a little stroll.
It is 42 degrees, so.
My kind of weather.
You probably had your pointers out, didn't you? What do you think of this thing?
It's got some weight.
It's what you might call
Beefy?
Beefy.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm getting dirty.
All right, so all I've left to do on this over-designed grading attachment is these two small little angled pieces right here to cover up that nut that I just welded on. I still don't know what the hell to call this thing. Grading attachment, grading lip, grading tooth, maybe? I don't f***ing know. And aside from that, I have to cut the end plates for each side. I would like to have a nice end cap on each side. I could sit here and try to measure all of these angles. It can be done, it's not rocket science. What if I told you there's an easier way? You would say to me, there is? And then I would say, oh yeah. And then you would say, would you shut the f. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get my cell phone out and I'm gonna take a picture as straight on as possible. Now once I have that picture, I'm going to import that into Fusion 360. I'll show you that here in a minute. But before we do that, I'm gonna use my stick rule and we need to measure a reference point. So I'm just going to take the two furthest points right here, measure from the inside corner to inside corner, and it's about 6.5 inches. So let's take that information and open up Fusion 360 so we can get these last pieces cut and finish this fiasco of a grading tooth. Or grading attachment, or I don't know. All right, now that we have the canvas inserted onto our sketch, here's the trick. I have done this before in my other videos, but I just want to show you this quick little segment because it's pretty handy. We're gonna zoom in on this. We're gonna go to canvas. We're gonna right-click our screenshot, hit calibrate. And now this is where that reference measure that I took earlier comes into play. It was 6.5 inches. Oh yeah. So we're gonna pick that point right where I measured from, right here to right here. And that was 6.5 inches. Hit okay. And now that canvas is the exact size for the part that I need. So all I have to do now is use the CAD tools, make that shape, and then I can go ahead and cut it on the plasma table, which we're gonna skip to that part right now. Okay, now for the moment of truth. Oh yeah, that's perfect. All I have left to do is to weld these 4 pieces on, and while I'm talking, I'll go ahead and run a time lapse of me doing those full welds there. And once I get done with this, I can go ahead and grind all those welds nice and smooth, get some paint on this thing, and then I have one last finishing touch that is going to really just make this attachment. You'll see. Okay, it's all painted up. I have a nice glossy gray finish on it, which won't last very long. And as promised, the finishing touch. We're gonna be using the new XTool S1. I just did a review on this. I'll leave a link for that video in the description. This thing is badass. Probably my favorite feature on this new XTool S1 so far is the twin point positioning. It allows you to take 2 reference points on opposite corners of a rectangle or other shapes as well, which then makes it so much easier to place your engraving exactly where you want on the object that you're engraving on. Engraving is done, and it looks pretty damn cool. This thing's heavy. Check it out. It's kind of hard to see on the gray, on camera at least. All right, let's get this thing on the bucket and check out the final fitment. All right, let's see how this thing fits. Oh my, like a glove. And I got a couple of stainless steel bolts with some lock washers. And I made those holes big enough that a 3/4 socket would fit in there. All right, well, there it is, the grading edge bucket attachment. Now, I know that the engraving wasn't necessary and it's not gonna last. I also know that the paint isn't gonna last. But for the video, it was kind of cool to throw that in there and just kind of show you what you can do with that XTool on metal. I really should have painted this thing like a flat black. It would have made that engraving pop out a lot more. It kind of blends with the gray because the engraving took it down to bare metal, but who really gives a shit? Now the fitment on this thing came out better than I could have expected. Everything fits really nice and tight. It slides right on, it slides right off. I only have those 2 bolts, and this thing is really gonna be pretty handy. Now I didn't show it in the video, but I did add a cutting edge to this thing. It's 2-inch flat stock by 1/4 inch thick. This will obviously take the brunt of all the digging force, and eventually if it wears out, I can just cut those welds and re-weld a new one on. Now where I really plan on using this grading attachment is gonna be in the pond. I've pretty much specifically built it for what I plan on doing with the pond. I need to be able to dig and have a flat cutting edge surface. I don't want to be digging with my grading bucket, so I feel like this is going to be a little bit better of a fit, and it's pretty damn beefy. Now in case you didn't notice, I did something in this video, and I'm calling it the trifecta. I showed you what this machine could do, what this machine could do, the XTool, for a machine like this, the Kimron XH26D. And like always, I will have a website link for the Kimron. They have all their pricing right there on their website, all their different models, all their inventory. I will also have links for the Langmuir Crossfire Pro CNC plasma table along with a discount code, Spicer Designs, and I'll have a link for the XTool. Trifecta. Now sorry for this being a longer video. This was a lot to squeeze into 25 minutes or so. Now if you liked this video and you found it helpful, maybe it gets the juices flowing on a project like this for your machine, well then go ahead, hit that like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I got other videos, fabricating videos, all kinds of different stuff coming up on the Kimron, on the Coyote, all kinds of cool coming. Anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Big bolts then that...
Whoa. Yeah, let me just show you what's going, whoops.
Oopsie.
That. I mean, that's like a...
It's like a nipple.
It's like a 6-incher. Yippee-ki-yay. 30 minutes on an arts and crafts design that's totally ruined. That's pathetic. I don't even know where I'm pushing this thing right now. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Damn it! Favorite table, you're embarrassing me. Should you pick up that, oh yeah?